Hello and welcome to Seattle City Makers. I'm your host, John Scholes. Welcome to our latest episode, everybody. I am joined by PCC Community Markets President and CEO, Srinivasan. He's the 7th CEO in the co-op's 70-plus year history here in our community and previously served as the CFO for PCC. He's held finance and executive roles with some of Seattle's great companies, including Remitly and Amazon in Japan and in India, and was vice president of finance for Lyft down in the Bay Area. Krish and I discuss the reopening of the downtown PCC, of course, which occurred earlier this summer, and how it's going and how they're testing and evolving that store to be responsive to what people are looking for. We also discuss the relocation of PCC's offices to downtown, right adjacent to that downtown store over there at 4th and Union. Discuss PCC's recent growth, the grocery industry today, Krish's first job, and his perfect Saturday in Seattle. Hope you enjoy my conversation with PCC Community Markets President and CEO, Srinivasan. All right. Well, thanks, Krish, for making time to come over for this.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you here, and it's great to have PCC back downtown, and maybe let's just start there. We're about a month since you reopened.
Yeah.
How's it going?
It's going great. So it is, in fact, just about a month. And by every measure, the store is doing really well. The sales are doing quite far ahead of what we had thought they would.
Love that.
Some of the things that we look at, and one of the metrics that I shared recently with the DSA board, is that like for like, when you look at how the deli is doing in this incarnation of the store versus the previous store, it's up about 30% or more.
Wow.
Which speaks more than anything else to the kind of rebound that we've seen in downtown traffic.
And is the square foot comparable and the amount of space you're devoting to the deli today versus in the original store?
It's about the same.
Yeah.
So this current store is about 6,500 square feet, which is significantly smaller than, it's about a third of this.
Yeah, you had like 19 in the original. Yeah.
And so a lot of it is devoted to the fresh and prepared foods part of our business. And that drives about 2/3 of the business right now. Yeah. Which is a lot more than any of our other stores.
Yeah, I like the deli metric to measure downtown's revitalization.
Food talks,
Yeah. So people through the doors have been, it's been strong, and the volume and...
Yeah, I think on the first day, I described it as chaos in the best possible way around lunchtime. And by most measures, it continues to be a lot like that. So we do see a strong lunchtime crowd. And, we're learning as we see what matters to people and how downtown, office worker communities are also operating, because we definitely see Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays as the really heavy days, and Mondays and Fridays are kind of the shoulders. Yeah.
And when I toured with you a few weeks ago, you were showing me that on your shelves you have electronic
shelf tags.
So that allows you to change out items, remerchandise, reprice, and so you're going to kind of keep watching and learning from as far as what's doing well and what people are looking for, and you can then pivot and adjust pretty quickly. Is that the gist of it?
So this store is an opportunity to test and learn on a lot of things. The electronic shelf tags are a great example. It's the first time we've done them in any store, and they look just like regular shelf tags. In fact, one of our board members who was touring the store on opening day asked me, I thought you were going to do shelf tags, electronic shelf tags. And I'm like, yeah, we did. He's like, no, you didn't. I'm like, no, yes, we did. And
it is hard to tell. They don't really look any different, right?
No, they're sort of e-ink, RFID, and they allow you to do a lot of things today and into the future. So running price changes through the store, which in a retail environment can be a very painfully manual process, suddenly gets a lot more automated.
Yeah.
And technology always provides the runway to do things that we might not have conceived of yet, because the fact that people walking through stores, looking at things, buying things, are also great ways to measure what people are looking but not buying, looking at it but not buying, how to manage inventory, and all of those things.
Yeah, one of the things I hear from my neighbors, I got to rep the downtown resident voice in this, and I think you've heard it too, is like, hey, can you be open later?
Yeah.
And I know that's something you're kind of looking at, you haven't committed to yet, but I imagine you're trying to figure out like, okay, who is the customer here between the worker, the resident, the visitor, and what do they want?
Yeah, I mean, the short answer is yes, we're going to be staying open later.
You are? That's great.
So maybe by the time this...
Are we breaking news?
Well, if this is going live when you say it is, this should be old news by then, I would think.
Yeah.
So we were looking at it, and one of the things that we did see was outside of the lunchtime rush, the traffic started to pick up again towards the end of the day. And not only did it pick up, we also started seeing people shopping slightly bigger baskets. So maybe that bottle of wine, maybe a bag of cat food, along with your dinner stuff. So that started to tell us that we should look at, whether staying open later serves a greater need, and we're going to test and learn.
That's great, because right now you close at 6,
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So
weekdays,
Yeah, and not open on the weekends.
We're not open on the weekends, which frankly is a bit of a relief for us, given that this is the first store and the only store we have that does not work weekends, which means that having the weekend between the sort of the least busy days gives us a way to sort of ease into the week and ease out of the week a little better.
I mean, is it an easier staffing model, I imagine, too, of folks that are working?
Staffing, managing inventory, managing shrink, all of these things, what it takes to get the store going at the beginning of the week as well as close down on Friday.
Yeah.
All of those things are helped by the current model.
And I know before becoming CEO there, you were CFO, and before that, you were a member of PCC and have been for many, many years. What drew you to PCC as CFO many years ago? And you had a career in technology and Amazon and Microsoft and some of the great companies, Remitly before. But what drew you into PCC?
Firstly, the sense that no matter where my prior jobs took me, we kept finding our way back to Seattle. It's our community. Our children were born here. They grew up getting their free fruit at PCC. That is one. The second is the fact that food is an evergreen love for me. I think about food all the time. I watch videos about food. I cook. And then I
hear your phone is full of photos of food.
Not full, but quite significantly loaded up. I will say too that I think for us and for me, I really, as much as I'd been a member of the co-op and my wife and I for the last nearly 3 decades, I didn't realize that co-ops have the kind of structure and the organization that we do. And so it was a chance conversation that I had with a friend after a lunch downtown. He just said to me, hey, PCC is looking for a CFO. Would you be interested? I was like, I don't know co-ops have CFOs. And quite literally a couple of weeks from there, I was having conversations, and suddenly it felt like, I described it at the time as finding yourself squarely at the intersection of purpose and passion. And so all the things that I'd been doing in my career so far in building and scaling finance teams suddenly found itself at a place where the purpose, felt really amplified and felt really, very substantially rewarding. And so that sort of made me feel that this was the right thing at the right time. And so it turned out to be.
What's the biggest shift from working in the spaces for the companies you did before in more traditional, publicly owned companies to kind of the co-op world from a cultural perspective, both with the team, but also the leadership and then the board?
Yeah. So, when I was interviewing for the CFO job, one of my board members, the head of the audit committee, in fact, during my interview, kind of got all up in my face and said, Krish, this is the best CFO job in the city, the best. I was like, okay, that's kind of the fighting words. And I think he was completely right, just as this is the best CEO job in the city as well. And I'll tell you why. Because unlike companies that either rely on the public markets or the venture markets or private equity, my team and I are answerable to 120,000 people who are our members, which hopefully includes all of you as well. And that changes the dynamic for how you make decisions. So on the one hand, as a CFO, you've got all of the responsibilities of a finance, chair of a finance head. You have this added sense of who you serve and how you serve them, And in fact, I just spent this morning writing a 2-page email to a member who wrote in about a variety of things, including what we're doing with our packaging and what we're doing with our disclosures. And I'll do that all day long because these are
So you're
dedicated.
serving.
Sorry?
That's who you're serving.
That's who we're
Yeah.
serving. And these are folks who love the fact that we give them, free fruit as part of our member offers, but also will tell us that they don't like that it comes in a plastic container and that we should do better in how we do that. So I'll do that all day long. And I think that there are very few jobs in either a finance capacity or, as the leader of the organization where you get to be, that much a part of the community of the people you serve.
Yeah. A little pretty clear sense of who your customers, stakeholders, investors are. They're all the same folks, right?
Yeah.
And you're not tied up into Wall Street and some of the other things that public companies are having to deal with. And
I spend no time thinking about that. I spend my time thinking about what our organization of about 1,700 people need from me and my leadership team, and what our 120,000 or so members need, and to ensure that we can serve them, the way they want to be served.
what's been the biggest shift you've had to make going from CFO to CEO?
I think the biggest shift has been to hire a really good CFO so that you can stop being the CFO, because that can be a tendency. And I've been lucky.
To do your old job.
Yeah. And nobody wants you to do your old job, believe me. And luckily, I've found a CFO, and we have a CFO today who's so much better than I could ever be. And I've been lucky even in the one who had the role before the current one. So I think that's been a big job. That's been a big change. I think being able to take all of that finance and operator learning and to apply it to a sense of strategy and identity is something that appealed to me, and it's something that I feel I've felt really comfortable taking on. And I still think with a financial framework and a deeply analytic framework, but I get to apply it to slightly different topics.
Because you got to spend time there getting to know the guts of the entity, the numbers, the operations, how it worked, and now to transition all of that knowledge to the strategy and vision and where we go in. And how would you describe the culture there?
It's really difficult to pin down our culture because we are a combination of so many diverse points of view. We have people who have been at the co-op more than 4 decades. We have people who've joined us in the last month who are deeply committed to what we do. I think our culture rests in a sense of stewardship, acting with kindness, acting with empathy, and taking ownership for the things that we care about. And to doing things in care of what we call the triple bottom line. So almost every single person at PCC is always thinking not just about what makes the most economic sense, but how that also relates to the community bottom line as well as the environmental bottom line. So the community bottom line is our employees and our community of members, as well as those that we work with in the supply chain, with food banks, with food rescue and all of that. And the environment is about so much that, especially here in the Pacific Northwest, people take so much care for.
How unique is this co-op model to Seattle when it comes to food and grocery? Is it pretty prevalent in other parts of the country, or is the 70 plus PCC co-op pretty unique?
I would say that I can't speak from an age standpoint, but certainly PCC is unique in size. So with 16 stores and close to $500 million in sales, we are the country's largest food co-op by a pretty wide margin. But there is a very deep and thriving community of co-op grocers all around the country. And often it is said that there's a center of gravity in the Midwest. And I think there are a lot of co-ops over there, but you have them, in other parts of the country too. Here we've got PCC. We've also got the Central Co-op on Madison. You've got the Skagit Valley Co-op up north. You've got one in Orcas Island. You've got one in Port Townsend. So it's there. It's around. And I do think that this model of collaboration and cooperation is uniquely suited to serve the kind of place that our society finds itself in now.
Are you following the discussion debate in New York City about government-run grocery stores and their mayoral debate?
Very peripherally, and not enough to know that I should, and enough to know that I shouldn't say anything about it.
Yeah, we won't get you in trouble.
I would love to see. I'd love to see any kind of interesting model that makes food more affordable to people succeed.
Yeah,
it is a tough business, though, and and I think anybody who gets into it, and anybody who's been in it, whether it's for the last 70 years like us or the last 5 years, through one of the most significant shifts in recent times in terms of how people shop for food and eat, we'll learn that quickly.
Yeah, and it's always been a challenging business and industry with not have huge margins. What has made it more challenging in recent years?
There's a lot of things. I mean, from an overall industry standpoint, there've been various attempts, successfully or otherwise, around consolidation that always throws a lot of uncertainty in the market. And through that, we've been able to sort of show that, hey, we're your community and your neighborhood co-op, and that's all you need to care about as far as we are concerned. So that's one. The second is it's unclear how other players are approaching what is either the reality or the perception of food and cost inflation. I still don't quite know how they're using it or not in terms of their price competitiveness. But I think what we have found valuable is to be transparent. And you've seen that in how we have weathered, let's call it the egg crisis relative to larger conventional grocers, where you can find eggs at PCC. You always found eggs at PCC. You got them at a reasonable price, but that was not always, what happened if you walked into any of the other conventional grocers. So there's something about,
How were you able to deliver more affordable eggs during an egg crisis when others couldn't?
Well, for one thing, a lot of our supply and a lot more of our supply of eggs relies on the local, on local producers, which keeps us a little insulated from some of these macro distribution, sources. So that's one. And the second is transparency. And we, I think there was talk about whether costs were being passed on reasonably or as a way to just be able to take a price increase. I think we chose to say, let's ensure that we are doing the right thing by our customers and communicate clearly around it. Let's maybe invite them to shop for fewer eggs, something that actually Stephen Colbert picked up on and actually had a sign from one of our PCC stores talking about, rationing eggs, but at least you could buy them.
You were trying to lower demand, is that? Manage demand.
I'm going to say that based on our numbers, we very happily did not lower demand for eggs. I think we did just fine on eggs, during that time.
But what was the thing that Colbert was highlighting then? What were you trying to communicate?
I think
to
when
customers?
he was, I think it was not us necessarily, but when he was talking about the overall egg situation, it just so happened that the picture that he put up was from a PCC store. I have no idea how we made it to his radar, but we were like, hey, that's us. And luckily,
and our eggs are more affordable.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, why are they highlighting us?
Yeah. I think he was making fun of us for saying that, not us, making fun of the fact that there were grocers asking people to buy only 2 cartons of eggs.
Oh, gotcha.
So, yeah.
What are some of your favorite things at PCC? What are you shopping for since you're such a food guy?
I get that all the time. If you ask me at lunchtime, I'll be able to tell you what I'm thinking about for dinner and so forth. But, I would say that there are certain things that I end up sort of gravitating towards, like, pizza by the slice is something that I love at our stores. I'd sort of
pizza's good.
Yeah, I'm willing to put a couple of bucks on the table to say that we have some of the best pizza in the city. I do love our salmon cakes. I do love pretty much anything from our deli. The Cubano sandwich is outstanding if you get it toasted. The Draper Valley chicken sandwich is outstanding. But frankly, it's always, going into a PCC is a really dangerous thing for me because I could go in wanting a tomato and come back with, a lot of things.
You're a cooker too. You like to cook.
I love to cook. I love to cook. I do.
You were in a big growth mode over the last 5 years. What do the next 5 years have in store for PCC?
Yeah. I think if I had to condense it into a very sort of pithy sentence, I'd say we want to make our existing investments work harder for us. So you're seeing that in the downtown, in the return to downtown. You know, that was an investment we made. We needed to rethink it, but
you had a lease there and built out a store.
Right. Yeah. And then, we are not out searching for the next shiny object. We want to come back and make this work. And we're able to do this in this uniquely delightful way of serving a need for good food while also being able to move our office and make it an economically, not just a viable decision, but a really a good decision. And so from that standpoint, we do have one more store that we have been committed to building for a long time now in Madison Valley, and that's going to come up. But when we look at the next 5 years, I think that, going back to this notion of making our existing investments work harder for us, I could see us spending time and effort looking after our staff and making sure that they're cared for in an environment that can be pretty challenging at times. We want to take a look at our existing stores and make sure that they're in the best shape possible, that we're innovating around them as much as we should be on behalf of members. We want to think about members. We want to think really hard about what makes membership in the co-op unique. And we want that identity to resonate in the community because that's something that we've done for over 7 decades. And we have a lot of folks moving into the city that really align with our values, whether they're families or people who are just starting families. These are some of the things that we're going to focus on as we think about the next few years.
So really optimizing your existing stores and the ones that you've recently reopened, and you've got one more. It's one more in Madison Valley.
At this point, it's one more.
And Burien was
2018.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pre-pandemic.
Yeah, pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
So, I would say that there's, there is so much that we can do with what we have, and there's so much that we can do for the community. We measure impact in such a different way from other organizations or other grocers. We don't start the year by saying we want to have 20 new boxes open this year. We start by saying where can we do better to serve the community, and that again is not just in terms of an economic profit, but that triple bottom line. Whether it's the community or whether it's sustainability and the quality of our food, all those things go into how we measure impact and growth.
How should people think about, or how can you help us sort of understand like affordability of food in Seattle? Not just grocery stores, but restaurants too. We've become a pretty expensive place to eat relative to not other places in the country, but also other places in the world. I know you've lived in a number of other cities. I guess, why is that the case?
I could say it's a simple case of supply and demand in a city that is attracting a lot of talent.
Yeah, and grocery and food is not the only thing expensive here. Right? There was just a story a couple weeks ago. It's the most expensive market for Ubers in the country too.
Yeah, and again, I think there are better minds than me that can sort of tease that apart. And I can speak for grocery and say that
it's not because folks like PCC are raking in double-digit profit margins.
Yeah. It's definitely not that. And that is actually, one of the things that we've been struck by, especially over the past year, which is that, there's always been this, somewhat friendly, but also a deep-rooted perception that, PCC is a very expensive specialty grocer to shop at. And our data and member and shopper reactions increasingly indicate that that's not the case. And that goes back to what I was saying a little earlier about how other grocers may have chosen to act in terms of their economic interest during the pandemic versus how we did things. And so when you think about what's expensive and what's not, Seattle is a place that truly makes it a very relative comparison. Now, in this space, we want to stand for value. And that value is a combination of not just how much you pay for it, but what you get. Is it safe? Has it been curated? Has it been tested? Have you audited whether any kind of enslaved labor went into the production of this food. If those things matter to you, and they seem to matter to an increasing number of people, you're going to find your way to PCC. You're also going to find your way to PCC when you realize that we strive to be that third place, a community hub where people come to see each other. I'll just give you an example. Last year we had the bomb cyclone, and when the bomb cyclone happened, a lot of grocers closed and just said, we don't know when we're going to open. Not a single PCC store shut its doors. And not only did we sort of stay open and serve people who needed to be there, we were also a place where you could go and charge your phone and maybe to get some work done and get some Wi-Fi or, all those things. So those are all things that I think go into this aggregate experience of what it means to be a part of a community and to be a part of a community where people quite literally gather at the table.
How did you all work through that decision? Were you having conversations as that forecast was in the craze of the bomb cyclone coming was?
No, I mean, we take these things very seriously because not a year goes by in Seattle where you don't have the snow scare, then the actual snow event, and then there's the
then we come up with like these new names for things.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
The bomb cyclone.
I think for us it's pretty simple. We keep our stores open unless there's something that really, really would be so out there that we couldn't. And
it's just been part of your approach around.
It's part of our approach.
Gnarly weather.
We ensure that our stores have power. We might we might run on limited power, but if you want ice cream during a bomb cyclone, you've got to be able to go and find it somewhere. And we want to be that place. And so for us, it is less, again, an economic decision than it is, what is our mission? What are we here to do? We're here to serve the community. And you got to serve the community when the community needs you to serve it. And I think that's where and how we try to show up.
And you were getting back to just affordability and PCC delivering value. I think you were mentioning when you reported to the board, DSA board last month, just kind of the average cost of some of your lunch items and how they compare. And I can't remember those numbers, but I was
I'm happy to repeat them.
Repeat them. Yeah, because they stood out to me relative to some of the other options.
Yeah,
you have, whether it's a food truck or somewhere else, right?
Yeah, I think to anybody who's listening, I'd love to sort of just point out that the bar for a really high quality lunch in downtown Seattle is now about $15, and you can find it at PCC Corner Market. And those are the cold hard facts. And I think it's not for me to speak about what your alternatives are, but I think anybody who's out looking for a lunch in the middle of the day is going to know what their choices are. So I think this is a very direct way in which we can demonstrate that eating well is important. You don't have to break the bank to eat well. And if you're coming into the city to work, not having a good choice for your lunch should not be a deal breaker. So,
yeah, well, it's really great to have you all back there, and the building is that much more alive since when you were there.
It is pretty cool.
With the other operators that are now in there, Fonte and Equinox. And,
and the pickleball courts.
The urban pickleball there. And, so you're just adding to all that great energy.
We're thrilled to be back. I think it really is a matter of the stars aligning for us to be able to do not just the corner market, but to also bring our staff. And it's really meaningful to our staff that we work alongside a store. Not only do we have access to a great lunch,
your office staff that you're also
our office staff
moving it within
right,
the
and
space,
then
adjacent to the space.
We get to work with the store to test and learn things. Whether
do you see it as like a little laboratory to inform how you're operating and merchandising other stores?
Oh yes,
because you're so close to it.
It's not just. It is not just a lab experiment, but it affords us that ability for the merchandising team to be able to see. Well, should we change? Where the sandwiches are versus the salad. And you can do that in real time. It's great for the marketing people to know what messaging works and what doesn't. It's great for the IT teams as well as the merchandising teams to know, what is and is not working with the electronic shelf tags. How's, for the ops team to know, what's the flow looking like? There's a lot of really cool things that we can do that we've not been able to in such an easy way until now.
It's got to be an interesting cultural shift too, to bring your store staff right up against your office staff,
Yeah.
and to have that mix.
In some ways, we have never had our office co-located with the store, so that's it's not just a cultural shift. It goes to the heart of who we are.
Yeah.
Also, going to the heart of who we are is to be in a space that reflects our values a lot more than where we've currently been. We don't need a space as big as what we currently have, or where it's located. But to be in a space where we can all be together, we can serve our stores and work more closely amongst ourselves. I think that's a great win, and it's felt extremely touching to hear some of the reactions from our staff members who, some of whom never thought that they'd see the day when PCC would have an office.
And are you all moved in then, or is that still?
No, that's coming up in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
We'll be there soon. We'll stay out of the way during the lunch hours, so we'll have to just load up on a second breakfast.
No,
and
getting
then
in
we'll
early and
Yeah.
A couple standard questions that we put to our guests. One, what was your first job?
So my first job out of college in India was selling software. So I sold packaged software for a couple of years for a company called Wipro, and we sold actually
Like floppy disks?
Yes, with big floppy disks. Sold databases and sold project planning software. I did that for a couple of years.
And then our final question, Krish, is what's your perfect Saturday in Seattle?
The perfect Saturday for me has to be a mishmash of things, because I don't know that I could do all of the things that would make a perfect Saturday all on one Saturday. But I would say that, some of the things that I enjoy doing with either my friends or my family is, a walk in my neighborhood in the morning or around Green Lake, which is close to where I live. Brunch at Pete's Egg Nest, just up the road from where we live. It's a great place to to get your weekend brunch. Certainly, we are either out in the outdoors, or we have a lot that we enjoy doing in the city, whether it's going out to parks, hanging out with friends. Dinner for us probably at Cafe Munir, also in Ballard.
If you're not cooking.
If I'm not cooking. On the perfect Saturday, it'd be great to just end it by seeing a show at the Nectar and catching some live music. So I think for us, Seattle affords a lot of those things in different combinations through the year. My wife and daughter are out hiking today near Mount Rainier. I wish I could have gone with them.
That sounds all right.
But I'm having fun being here too, And so there's just so much about life over here that we've absorbed through our 3 decades of wandering the world and coming back.
Because you've worked in other places, but you kind of kept getting drawn back.
We kept coming back to Seattle.
Yeah.
It just kept pulling us back.
Yeah. Well, we're glad to have you back. Glad to, again, have the store back, and glad to have you represented on the Downtown Seattle Association board as well. Thanks for agreeing to add that to your list and of all the things you are involved in and engaged in, and your voice there as an employer and retailer and grocer downtown is super important. So,
thanks, John. I mean, it's an honor to have been invited to join the board. I cannot say more about how committed we are, how committed PCC is to helping bring our city center back. So I'm really happy to be on the board, and I'm really thankful and honored to be here today.
Well, terrific. Thanks again for making time for this.
Thanks, John.
Well, hope you enjoyed my conversation with Krish. Appreciate him making time to come on Seattle City Makers, and for all he's doing to lead an incredible institution here in our city, PCC. Glad to have them back downtown. It's been terrific, and that store is just buzzing. So get in there and support our downtown PCC. I want to close out with a recommendation of something to check out in downtown, and want to highlight the upcoming grand opening celebration for the Waterfront Park, September 6th, Saturday, September 6th. It's going to be a day full of programming, performances, interactive experiences, art installations, a beer garden, food trucks, and more. It is the official grand opening. It's been a long wait, but well worth it. That is an incredible space, and it's finally all done, all 20 acres programmed fully on Saturday, September 6th, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Check out the details at waterfrontparkseattle.org. Well, thanks everybody for joining us on this episode of Seattle City Makers, presented by the Downtown Seattle Association, with support from James Cito and production by Thread Theory.